My name is Joshua. I used to be a carpenter in the city, but then I had the bright idea to drag a 32-foot wooden sailboat into the woods of eastern Canada where I'm living off-grid. Built in Japan in 1966, for almost half a century she sailed the seven seas only to be marooned on the other side of the world. I aim to fix that. The only problem, I've never worked on a boat before. This is a boat in the woods.
March 23rd, 2026. After buttoning up the rust repair on the truck, I thought I would try a practice cut with the chainsaw mill on an old spruce log that I had cut last year. I peeled some of the bark off so that I wouldn't dull the chain, and then set up the guide rail to make the first cut. I had to make a bunch of adjustments, but once I had it going, it worked great. After the first cut with the guide rail, I was able to run the mill directly on the flat and milled a 2 1/4 inch slab, which came out surprisingly accurate. I think this is going to work great on the larch logs for the boat frames. March 24th. I pulled something in my leg while I was crawling around under the truck last week. Or was it when I lifted the engine block? So I took it easy for the day, finishing the engine and transmission removal, which I had mistakenly called the outdrive before.
Come on. There we go.
I thought the bolts that were holding the transmission to the prop shaft were going to put up more of a fight, but thankfully they cracked loose with a little bit of leverage. The big 15/16 inch nut holding it to the mount was a bit more difficult though. I ended up borrowing the right socket to fit on my breaker bar and managed to crack it loose. With that, the transmission was ready for the next step tomorrow. March 25th. I started the day with some hull cleanup, scraping the loose paint off the inside of the planking. I won't bother with the frames too much since they're coming out soon. Later in the afternoon, Bill came by with his crane truck. He saw my struggles with the engine and offered to help pull the transmission.
Might have to double it down around to shorten it a little. Fish this through.
Okay.
It was much easier on my back. I'll definitely be calling him when it's time to reinstall the engine. After that, I scraped a bit more paint and then wrapped things up at the boat before heading to the safety inspection for the truck. It didn't pass. The front wheel bearing on the passenger side is shot. I've ordered a new one, so hopefully I can get that fixed next week. While I was at the mechanic, he saw the transmission in the truck, and I mentioned that the motor was a 1.6 VW diesel. He happened to have a brand new cylinder head that he thought would fit, so I took it back to Chad's to compare it to mine.
It's definitely a Volkswagen.
Even though it looks really close, there are some differences, so I don't think they're compatible.
It's really similar. Oh yeah. Damn. That would have been cool. So close.
March 26th. Saw the owl today. My leg is feeling better, but I still took it easy with some more paint scraping and cleanup. It's really nice to see how good most of the planking looks under the paint, as opposed to the frames, which are literally disintegrating in my hands. March 27th. Snowing. Again. I started with some demo in the bow while I waited for a pal from Lunenburg to come by. Andrew drove out to come take a look at the boat and give me some much needed advice. He runs the big boat shed in Lunenburg, building and restoring traditional wooden boats. I was there this past October at a workshop and mentioned the project, and he said he'd love to come check it out.
Get changed out quite frequently.
So she was in San Francisco.
Yeah.
I would say that some of the framing rotted right out of her. And
Yeah.
I don't really know why. It's sort of odd to see framing rot sort of right at the stringer or like around the turn of the bilge. You know, like down at the keel, that makes sense. And I always see them rot at the deck head if the deck's not tight, but this is kind of funny. Maybe it sat full of water at one point in time or something. I don't know.
Yeah.
But the planking seems so sound.
We mostly talked about the framing, but also looked at which timbers would be worth salvaging.
You want to get access to it like easily.
Mm-hmm.
But some of this stuff, like that little detail, like when you do lift it, like save some of it for sure. I mean, some of that looks like really high quality timber.
To me, the deck is almost like in the best shape out of
Yeah.
anything on this boat.
I mean, typically what happens in a build is you save the, especially if you're laying a traditional deck, you save the best timber for putting on the deck. You know, it's not in the water all the time. It's hard to keep it swelled up, and you want the deck to be really tight. So it's like you save the quarter saw and stuff and some of that looks beautiful. So I'd be after sort of carefully removing that as best you can, right?
Yeah, for sure.
The pitch in the bilge.
So this is what was in the bilge. It was, I don't know if it's like pitch or tar.
Oh yeah, that's pitch. That's pitch for sure. It's a mixture of like tree resin and petroleum, like products, petroleum byproduct or whatever. But yeah, it's really good stuff, and that's they fill the cavities.
Yeah.
Anywheres where they don't want water to lay.
I've been saving it because
You can totally save that. That's
yeah.
a great idea because
Yeah.
you can remelt that for stuff.
The choice of wood for frames.
And then, like as far as wood choices, basically what I've been thinking is using Hackmatack for the ribs.
That's one of my choice timbers for sure.
Okay.
Stylistically, in Nova Scotia, they tended to use like a wider, flat
Yeah.
frame.
That's what I was. That's one of the other things I was going to ask you is I basically want to save the depth, but I want to go an inch wider.
Yeah.
Especially I don't know what kind of wood this is, but
It's funny. Like I'm not certain of what that timber is either. The frame timber, but it's definitely not as high a grade of timber as like any of the planking or decking.
it's weird.
Yeah. Hackmatack makes a really able frame, and so one thing that I would say about it is that in the replacement of like a teak or teak equivalent, it's not quite as strong, right?
Yeah.
But if you're increasing the width by a little bit, then I think you'd probably be fine.
And which fasteners to use.
And then one of the other things I wanted to talk about was the fastenings. So, do you know Fairwind?
Yeah, I do. Yeah, I've dealt with them. Yeah, they're cool, man.
What do you think about using a square shank boat nail?
Oh, I love it. I love a square shank. Yo, the merch bags? Pretty
I know.
sick.
The packaging is awesome. He sent me a bunch of
Real,
stickers
man.
too.
Oh, hell yeah. Oh, man, those are a nice nail for sure. Oh, rose head too?
Yeah.
Damn, bro.
After that, I bought lunch and he took off. It was really informative and a huge morale boost. I'm hoping to make a trip to Lunenburg soon to help with some boat work and to hang out at the shed. Overall, a great week. Next, I'll keep cleaning out the hull in preparation for framing and hopefully fix the truck so that I can start gathering timbers.